person and the commissioners. In fact, Professor Gulier, the chairperson, and the CEO were injured. And we have attached documents showing the injuries that they sustained. And the intention was to stop the declaration from being made. Now, this is critical, my lords. Everybody has said why it is important that a government should not be established by means other than those set out in the Constitution. But equally, nobody should stop the process of the Constitution that result in the establishment of a government in accordance with its provisions. Stopping that process is equivalent to preventing the Constitution from being effected. It's a transgression against the Constitution. And it cannot fall from the lips of those people who tried to stop that process to come before you and say, the results of 27 constituents were not publicly announced, and yet you are the one who precipitated a situation where there was disorder, there was chaos. And this chairperson and the members of the commissions were now in fear for their lives. How do you tell them to still turn up and come and undertake an act that you have prevented from happening? And my lords, in the second petition filed in 2017, my lords, at this time also remember, this is a time when one of the officers of the commission had been abducted, the other one had disappeared and feared to be dead and turned out to have been murdered in any event. This is the situation that was prevailing at that time. My lords, faced with this situation, this court in 2017 in the repeat election was categorical that you cannot foment trouble, you cannot foment chaos, and then try to use the chaos as your reason, or the non-performance of an act because of the chaos, as the reason to come before this court for relief. My lords, it is critical that it becomes clear to political leaders that the decision as to who will be the leader of this country is made at the polling station. The agents, the commission agents who declare the results are just doing their job. If there is a problem, if the numbers of the votes that you got are not enough, the problem is not at the declaration. The problem is with the people who you did not persuade to vote for you in sufficient numbers. That is where the problem is. You cannot come to threaten members of the commission for purposes of them living in fear and refusing to do what they're required to do under the Constitution, and thereby enable you achieve a political purpose. And so, my lords and my ladies, the 27 constituencies, the critical point is, the results from those constituencies were tallied, were verified in accordance with the provisions of Article 138(3)(c). And you will notice that Article 138(3)(c) does not talk about announcing the results in the constituencies as a precursor or what will justify or validate the outcome. It doesn't. Lords, the next area that I just want to quickly go into, and I will just mention this in passing, the purposes for which we come to this court is that once they have made a decision, we don't revisit it. The question of the rejected votes, which I had been referred to yesterday, was determined in 2013. In 2017, Raila won, 2017, the issue again was raised, and this court said, with finality, that the only votes that will count are those votes that are valid. It's just valid votes. A vote that is rejected, a vote that is spoiled, does not express a choice, and therefore cannot count for anything. This court pronounced itself again in 2017. My lords, we cannot keep coming back before you and asking you the same question. You have answered it twice. I don't think I need to say more about it. The last item that I just want to deal with is the issue of constitutionality of certain regulations, which was raised by one of the parties. My lords, all I need to say about this again is that the provisions, these regulations, were promulgated on 27th of April 2017. They were the ones that were used for purposes of conduct of the 2017 election, first one, and of the repeat elections. No one has ever complained about those regulations. No application has ever been filed regarding the constitution.